Attention! The National Weather Service has issued a hurricane warning for the entirety of the National Hockey League. Please stay tuned for further information from the Storm Cellar.
Welcome back to the Storm Cellar. It is the first of our regular return, right? So we should be coming in weekly now, which I know Ray and I are very excited about. And I gotta say, I feel pretty good. I don't put a lot of stock in preseason games. Ray, I'm sure you feel the same. But there were some things I saw last night, particularly Turbo on the power play, that are that need to be addressed. And it's a preseason game, but it's nice to just see him hit it early. So how are you feeling today?
Doing all right. Just a couple days ago, I got my second shingles shot. Yes, I'm that old. All you folks out there, Caniacs and jerks alike, when you turn 50, get your shingle shot, please. You don't want to go through the shingles episode that I had a year ago. It was awful. It was terrible. But I've got that behind me, and I'm looking so forward to the 5th, where I will taunt and boo Tarasenko until my throat is sore. Thank you, Homer Simpson, because that's a great line from their hockey episode. So yeah, it's going to be great. And you're right. You hit the nail on the head. Now, I didn't get a chance to watch any of the preseason games, but I get those flashes on my phone all the time, updates and stuff like that. And that first one, when it said Turbo scored, I was like, yes. And then I looked over PPG. I'm like, yes, right. Even better, right? This is exactly what we want. So I'm really looking forward to this season. Like, let's go. Let's get her underway.
Absolutely. And I'm with you. I got to see bits and pieces of the preseason games. It's preseason. I'm not going to spend a ton of time because, we'd like to joke that preseason games only matter when you win. But Rod doesn't care if he goes 0-4 in the preseason, right? He's going to try line combinations. He's going to try some things and just kind of see, hey, what might work? What should we explore further? Maybe what shouldn't we explore further? They went 11-7 last night. That's one of the things that we're going to talk about today is the viability of a lot of people are saying go 11-7, which we'll get to. Is that really something we can do long term? But we'll get to that. But
we will get to that. And I mean, the best part of preseason is where you separate the wheat from the chaff. And there's a lot and I don't mean that to be a slight against these players who are all great. To be even considered to play NHL is tremendous. So, but there were a lot of those, PTOs and pickups and stuff like that where the whole team, virtually the whole team was, these extras, if you will, just to see where they go. And you got to make decisions. You want to make sure that you know where you're going to send them. So, yeah, so they made a lot of moves. They cut down a lot of players. I don't know if they know where they're sending everyone exactly, which is another issue still. But yeah, we should go through that because the cuts were made.
They were, and for folks who were maybe newer, we had a lot more people on the roster than you would normally invite to camp, and that's really because of those two games in that one night, right? The split squad games against Tampa Bay and Florida. So you got to have bodies. So you got to, they brought 44 guys in, I think, because you need 4 goalies and you need, 14 or defensemen. And you need, so many, 20 forwards. And so yesterday what we saw was and kind of surprising, right? So to recap a little bit for folks in case they don't know, the next best league in North America generally is considered to be the American Hockey League, the AHL.
Correct.
A step below that, you have a number of leagues, one of which is the ECHL, the East Coast Hockey League.
Yeah.
The Canes don't have an affiliate in the AHL this year because Chicago decided to part ways. So the Hurricanes have to figure out where to put a lot of guys who would normally play on an AHL roster, normally constitute about half of a roster, right? About 10 guys or so.
Yeah.
So the Hurricanes don't have that this year. the easy one, Hamo Salmi goes back to Finland. Easy decision. He's going to get time there. Jamison Rees, who I know a lot of people are big on. I like watching the kid. He's fun to watch. They sent him to the Springfield Thunderbirds here in Massachusetts, which is kind of funny since he just won a Calder Cup on their ice last year when I was there, and was able to those guys. But then because they don't have an AHL affiliate, Don Waddell said in an interview in a Canes mailbag, we're going to like pick and choose, right? We have some agreements with some people like, we're friendly with, where you can slot in like a guy, like one guy goes to the Thunderbirds. Kochetkov, they got to figure out, are they going to keep him up? Right? That's a big deal. Carrying 3 forwards, that's $2 million in salary. If they put him in the minors, then he's only costing them $1.2 million. You can hide $800,000 of salary in the minors.
Yeah.
But if he goes in the minors, they're going to want him to play.
Sure.
If your AHL team is, generally partner with, I'm just going to pick Nashville because we had them last night.
Sure.
If they're your affiliate and we send you Kochetkov, well, Nashville's going to want their guy in goal, right?
Of course.
So Kochetkov's one of the big question marks I have, right? But the Canes moved Gunler, Honka, Mendel, Murray, Roboda, and Seeley to the East Coast Hockey League. And those guys are all pretty much AHL level players. Norfolk may have the best ECHL roster in the land. They might be the best like third tier team that you're going to see because some of those guys can play. I mean, they're some of them are very close to NHL ready, and they're going to be basically 2 leagues down. If you live in Virginia, if you live in the Norfolk area, I would go see some games because those guys might light it up.
You can guarantee that they will, and this is one of the things that Rod had said in post-game discussions and stuff about these cuts and these moves and things. Like right now, they're in a situation where they are sending overqualified players to certain leagues.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And this list that we have here is a perfect example of overqualified, that they're very, very good, but because of the AHL situation, they are going to be maybe not quite like this, but men among boys. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like they are going to be really, really strong. So,
you got like 3 Calder Cup winners in that group.
Yeah, exactly. And make no mistake, as far as Kochetkov goes and the AHL, I mean, there is, looking at how strong the Hurricanes are, there is no team in the NHL that's paired up with an AHL team that are going to be all that willing to say, sure, Carolina, we'll help you out. No problem.
Yeah, we'll develop your goalie to stone us.
Exactly. Like that's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So we have a situation, and how we figure that out, I'm not entirely positive. Now there were some other moves that were super easy and made sense.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like Haimo Salmi. I hope I said that right. Haimo Salmi. He goes back to Finland, and easy, right? Like that's
playing time is what most of these guys need. That's the big thing, and
100%.
That's a competitive league. Like there's nothing wrong with the European guys going back to Europe.
And a couple of players were flat out released, right? So who did we have? We had
so Cato Jones went on waivers, which I don't think surprised anybody. I think good guy, good player, but was he better than the top 6-7 guys we had? No. But the interesting one to me is Zach Aston Rees, who scored like 10 or 12 goals for Toronto Maple Leafs last year.
Yeah.
Couldn't get a deal, got picked up on a PTO. And I want people to think about it for a second, because he's an NHL player, right? He's not flashy, he's not, among the league's best, but he's a quality guy. And the Canes are at a state where they're good enough that a guy like that can't make the team.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look up and down the line of how much, we talked last week about this might be the best roster that they've iced. We've had that luxury the last couple of years of each year it's gotten better. You have an NHL guy who's not bad, who just is not good enough to make this roster, which is kind of impressive. I mean, I feel bad for him, but like I feel really good for us.
I do too. And I mean, Aston Reese, who, he arrives here for an opportunity on the PTO to be with the Canes, and I believe would likely had been made the cut and stayed with the team were it not for the change in theory of what this team needed to look like. The fact that we needed to get grittier. Would you have taken Aston Reese over Lemieux? I think I might have, but Lemieux,
I would, but Lemieux to me is still a wild card. I mean,
yeah. And he's serving a purpose though, right? Like the team has decided that we need to get much grittier, and we, you know what I mean? And so does Aston Reese fit that mold? Not really.
No, he's another fourth line plug-in guy, right? I mean, and that's not to be a pejorative. Like I was a fourth line plug-in guy, right?
Oh, good Lord. No kidding, right? No kidding.
But yeah, most teams cycle those guys in and out from year to year. You have a fourth line guy who's fine and it's great, and then he wants some more money, and you're like, well, there's 4 other guys that can pick for less money.
Exactly. Speaking of fourth line players that are no longer with the team, Derek Stepan, congrats on your thanks for what you did for us. I loved watching you play, loved having you as a Cane, and hope you have a magnificent retirement. Enjoy. He's only 33 too. That's weird, right? Isn't it?
I hate when I see pro sports retirements because it reminds me just how old I really am.
Yeah.
Because part of me is like, I could still play hockey. And then I see that he's done it, 33 or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I'm 15 years too late.
And Brad, I'm going to go in the Wayback Machine on another retirement that I'm kind of sad for because he started with us, Brandon Sutter. He was on a PTO with the Oilers, and he pulled himself out. He was not released from the PTO from the Oilers side. He released himself, and he did so because he is still long COVID. Mm-hmm. He's still feeling the physical effects of what happened through COVID, and I feel terrible for him. What do you say, right?
I mean, one of hockey's like big families too, right? Like one of
those, monster family. To have it happen that way is terrible.
Yeah, what can you say about Step? He's 890 regular season games, 131 with the Canes. He had I forgot how many points it was now, but I think over 500 NHL points.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I'm thinning on top, I'm definitely thinking that like the bald with beard look might be the way I go as an older gentleman. He pulls it off really well.
He does pull it off. There you go.
So
it was
the best to him.
You betcha. It was a surprise, to be sure. Now, sorry, we got derailed. I do that sometimes. Other changes.
We didn't derail. This is just undocumented undocumented order of topics, sir.
There you go. Now, we do have some interesting situations, though, with the players that remained. Felix Unger-Sorum. Wow. He's had a very impressive preseason, and I got to tell you, how in the world are we looking at another Seth Jarvis? Because
keep going.
Because Seth played his way. Like, I don't think anyone suspected that he was going to be able to make the Canes lineup when he started, just outright, that he might actually have to go back to junior and season a little more. And then he just blew up the preseason. Like, he was amazing and forced the hands of the Hurricanes and into the, opening week opening couple of weeks of the season, and he just made it impossible to send him back. He was too good. He had laid his claim. Are we looking at another situation here?
So we might be. And so he just turned 18 before camp started. So this is a kid, even more so than Jarvis is a
yeah
kid. I mean, they're no offense, they're babies at this point. I mean,
indeed.
But this is a young kid, right, from Sweden. He's got the tools, he's got the mindset, he's already thinking at an NHL level, and he demonstrated that throughout the preseason. To the point that Rod, when asked, he's like, we don't have a plan for him yet. And what I think may happen is there's no reason to rush. There we go, Brad. There's no reason to rush Svechnikov back.
Sure.
Because why bother? Like, it's a long season. If, even if he could come back and play opening night, I wouldn't play him. I'd give him and say, well, you're just going to take 2 more weeks, and you're going to lose 4 games and just deal with it. Yeah. But that means that there's a roster spot.
Yep.
And he can, Felix can play 9 games, same as Seth Jarvis could.
Yeah.
Before they have to make a determination. If I'm Rod Brind'Amour, I would strongly consider giving the kid a shot, maybe not for 9 games, but for a couple of games, and just see how he fares.
Drop him in there, yeah.
Just drop him in there. Could it be another Jarvis? Like, that'd be amazing, right? It just, kids that young,
although
they just aren't generally ready, but sometimes you get somebody and they just have the right collection of tools.
Oh, I have to say, giving him that chance might lead to an even more difficult decision to come as well, because if he does exactly what Jarvie did, what the heck do you do now? You know what I mean? We're already in a situation where there's guys going up to the press box that you don't know where they're going to fit in, or they're continually going to the press box. Keeping him on beyond 8 games where he's still spending a lot of time in the press box for whatever reason. I mean, wow. Yeah. The plethora of riches. You know what I mean? Like, we have just so much going for this squad. It's great.
It is. And you kind of hit the nail on the head. I would like to see him get a shot. And then when Svechnikov comes back, I would put him hopefully in the AHL somewhere where he gets ice time, because look, he's listed at 5'11", 170. For our non-U.S. friends, he's 181 centimeters and 77 kilos. Yeah. He's not a big kid. He's a kid, right? And most of these kids need 2 or 3 years to put on some muscle, and their bodies are still developing, and they need to get stronger and tougher. That's just normally how it works. Jarvis is the exception to the rule.
Yeah, totally.
Right? So, and I would rather see Felix skate and be on, if he can go in the AHL somewhere, somebody's going to put him on a top line or second line. Yeah. Give him ice time and let him continue to develop. That's going to be better for him than sitting in the press box. However, if they can keep him for 4 or 5 games first, and he just gets the NHL experience and see this is what the expectation is, that's a great learning tool as well. So I think there's a balance there, but I think because of the way that the team is built now, you send him down, but maybe give him a look. Be like, hey, you were impressive. We want to reward you, right? Yeah. Show you this is what it's like, because it's different, right? And I mean, they call the NHL the show. Yeah. You don't carry your bags in the show, right? You get to wear suits in the show. You do all these things. AHL, no knock on them, but you're probably traveling by bus as much as you are airplane. And you're probably carrying your own bag around now, now and again, right? So there is a difference. But the kid has been unbelievable. I mean,
I was just going to say, go ahead.
I was just going to, so I'm not comparing him to Connor Bedard in a skills, this is what you have kind of way, because one of them is a first overall. One of them is second round, 62nd pick, something like that. However, Bedard in the highlight reels has done some flashy things. Like, the kid's clearly talented. Yep. But he's still a kid. And once the regular season comes out and he has to go against Jacob Trouba, who's going to try and take his head off, it's a different game.
welcome
right?
to the NHL, right? You know that's
Alex
coming.
Lafreniere of the
Yep.
Rangers. He was a first overall, right? And
he's in a very interesting spot right
he
now
is.
where he has just not lived up to the proclamations that everyone made, to start. I don't know that they called him a generational talent, but they were
Yeah,
very,
he's
very
not a
high
Bedard,
on
but they were
him.
super high, and
Yeah.
so you don't know. And the only reason I compare him to Bedard is just those guys are both on the smaller side. They're both young. They have great hockey sense. They got skill. But this is still preseason, and there have been some. I mean, we saw dirty hits in the preseason, Ray.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, a bunch of them.
we've already had our first department player safety meeting and verdict. I believe I didn't look out for the verdict yesterday, but so all I'm saying, Felix, is being young and talented is great, but if you can let him develop, and the Canes are stacked, so just let him develop. Let him come back to camp next year at 5'11" or even 6 feet and 180 pounds, 185 pounds of muscle.
Sure.
Right. But
that'd be sick.
All props to the kid. He's for a second round. The Canes do really well outside the first round.
Yeah.
Really well.
And that's all the scouting, right? The scouts that you have, that you can put your trust in and so forth. That's what scouting, it's all about.
Mentulski and Don Waddell knowing when he doesn't know what he doesn't know.
Yeah.
And that's what you really want in a GM is, I don't know. Surround yourself with people who do.
100%. And we talked about, Felix maybe giving him a chance and stuff like that. Think about that, how that trickles down to guys like Suzuki, who was playing fantastic, right? And now injured, upper body, the classic upper body ailment that you see over and over again. It's not the head. Thank you. We didn't need
he's got vision problems
anyone
for people who don't know.
Yeah, it's
he has vision. He's, as far as I know, he has vision impairment from contact last year. Last year before. Yeah.
So he played really well. He's looking for his spot. Where do we, does he have enough to make it further on?
And he's still on the roster. They haven't just made a decision. Ponyo too.
Yeah, exactly.
Is still sticking around thus far. So I think Rod probably knows what he wants to do. I expect to see cuts coming pretty soon because he's gonna want to let guys know, like, this is the squad we're taking into Wednesday night's opener.
Yeah.
But there's I don't know that everything is quite set.
By tomorrow, do you think? Are you going to make a prediction? You think by tomorrow, so they go Monday, Tuesday?
I was going to say, I think we'll hear something Monday. I think the decision will be made prior to Monday's practice.
Right.
We may not hear about it till Monday, but I think going into Monday's practice, they'll know who they're. That'll give them 2 days to practice, and then Wednesday's is the opener.
Cool. Do we want to break down last night's contest?
I only saw bits and pieces, so I don't know. And you didn't see it, obviously, because it's preseason. They're hard to get.
Yeah.
Good job, NHL.
Thank you.
But, just a few things that stuck out. One, it's good to see Teuvo getting on the board early.
Man,
he ripped a shot, didn't hesitate, just went ahead, took the shot, got a power play goal. It's a big deal to get Turbo going. If Necas and Aho and Svechnikov can play like they did last year, and Turbo can get the kind of resurgent year that Necas showed us last year, then the Hurricanes are gonna be on fire.
Look out!
Dmitry Orlov has been fantastic.
Did that move? I mean, that move last night. I saw the replay.
The Nashville player, Ray, I saw him slide by the house a few minutes ago. He's still moving.
He slid past your house, but and what you may not have noticed is he didn't have his jock either. Like, that was unbelievable, that move that he pulled. It was brilliant. It was great. Lots to look forward to. If we can take just a moment, though, to allow myself to pat myself on the back until my arm breaks. You'll recall on a previous broadcast when we were talking about what to do with TDA and how we would handle that situation. And I suggested that the team go 11 forwards, 7 defensemen, and you keep TDA as your 7th, play him in only power play situations. That's how I would have set it up. Now, I guess I can't, I can pat myself on the back, not until my arm breaks, because TDA still got more time. The 7th defenseman was Chatfield this time, but they did give it a look to see how it could go. And it seemed to work pretty well. Chatfield played, from the reports that I heard and saw and read about, Chatfield played well, just over 11 minutes of ice time. What do you think? What do you think of it? First of all, thank you guys for making me look as good as I do right now.
Hard to make you look much better, sir.
Well, there you go. You're too kind. But what do we think? What is this really the way to go?
So yeah, Chatfield played with Slavin, Burns, and Orlov at different points in the contest.
Yeah.
TA was kind of that, the other guy. So Chatfield was clearly the rotating man in and out. The question that you and I were talking about is viability. And that's where I have concerns depending on how they implement it. So when you go 11-7 with 7 defensemen, generally what happens is you double shift a center to center your 4th line. Like you get your wingers in there, but center's a little bit of a different position. You have more defensive responsibilities. It's not a position everyone can play as well as wing. So generally you double shift centers, which our team is fairly young, but you're that's grind, right? An extra few minutes of ice time a night adds up to over 82 games and the hits and the whole 9 yards. So what it really comes down to is, in my opinion, can they do that for short periods? Pick and choose the games maybe that you want to do that? I think that'd be great. Teams that you should just blow out. I mean, maybe not blow out. Maybe that's a little
no, that's fair. San Jose Sharks are out there. Blow out.
Yeah, the teams that you should beat, right? When you play Philadelphia, when you play the Blue Jackets, you should beat them, and you should be able to go with 12-6 and just score and do your thing. When you're playing New Jersey, who's going to be fierce competition, maybe you go 11-7. It sounds a little counterintuitive, but then you keep in, either TA as a power play specialist, or you just hide him some and limit his ice time, even though he's going to get some regular shifts. And, it gives you a little more scoring punch, particularly on the power play. And so I would not want to see this night in and night out. I think it's too much work on the guys.
Yeah.
But Rod Brind'Amour has shown that he kind of, he has a good feel for what should happen. And he may decide that, I'm going to have, 3 guys up in the press box, and we're going to double shift some guys, and we're just going to rotate through so that not everybody's, gets the extra mileage, right?
Right.
So, maybe there's a Suzuki or somebody in the press box, and you rotate them in, right? Jack Drury might be one of those folks, which I don't think he'd be happy with. He's already requested a trade because of ice time, but
yeah,
what's best for the team is just kind of how it has to be.
Yeah, that's a difficult situation because they've called him Captain America. Is that the Captain America? You know what?
Let's be honest. That dude, that is a handsome young man. He looks like that.
There is no question. There is no question. And he plays well. He brings the one thing that I always fall back to, even if they struggle a little bit, talent wise, are you 100% effort every shift? And that's the kind of guy he is. He doesn't take a shift off. That's what I love. I love my teams, my players to be like that. I don't want anyone riding coattails of anyone else. So, having him there, I mean, and Nason, because last night, the lineups, Nason ended up with 4th line again, right?
Think that's right.
Yeah, and so he's got so much talent too and grit, and he can go to the front of the net. Like, my goodness. That I'm really excited about this lineup. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Michael Bunting.
Yeah. How about him last night with that goal?
To be fair, so he gets the goal and he gets 2 for unsportsmanlike, which is for Caniacs. That's a pretty Michael Bunting kind of night.
Yeah,
that may not be the exception to the rule, folks.
Yeah, no question.
I want to know what he said.
He got it tied to after the goal too. Is that how that worked? He scored and then immediately given 2 minutes for his reward because he opened his yap?
No, I didn't get to see that part, but I feel like maybe it was. I can't remember if it was a goal or I don't think there was a goal. Maybe there was I don't remember. I didn't see it, so I was trying to listen a little bit and
improper chirping. Improper chirping. A little episode of Shoresy for you, which by the way is great. My American Friends.
Oh yeah, the rest.
I'm on my third episode. I just finished watching it last night, and it's outstanding. And I apologize. I don't mean to. It feels like I'm rubbing it in on you now. I'm sorry.
Canada needs a win once in a while.
That's right. That's right. And we certainly win with that. But then when we look at the lineups and how we play them and so forth, then we get to the other situation, and we've already kind of touched on it, Kochetkov. People are going to be furious that he's up in the press box at all.
Yeah.
And we've got like the goaltenders, it's preseason. The Anderson, by all accounts, look great because you fall into that penalty trouble, which they had. And a 5-on-3 and stuff, you need your goaltender to be larger than life. And, he was Mr. Anderson. Like he was.
Right.
Yeah, he's exactly what we needed. So good on him there. And I guess really that kind of wraps everything up except for one really important thing. We're starting the NHL season this week, and it's going to be exciting. The first game is Tuesday afternoon Eastern. Is that correct?
5:30. So an early start for sure.
Yeah.
Nashville, Tampa Bay kick off the 2023-24 NHL season.
Go knock yourself out, kids.
You're not
seriously, knock yourself.
You're not leaving work at 2:30 to catch that one, Ray?
No, that's not going to happen. Now, is that the only one on the card?
No. So
they're trying to make it back to back.
Yeah, there's 8 games today, which are meaningless and nothing really looks good. Tampa Bay, Florida might be interesting just because those two teams don't like each other.
Right.
And Columbus and Washington might give you a preview of who's going to be the best of the worst in the Metro.
Sure.
But other than that, I'm not seeing anything big. Yeah, back to back. So Nashville, Tampa, 5:30 Eastern. Then Chicago, Pittsburgh at 8 Eastern, which that'll have huge numbers. That's on all 3 of these on ESPN Plus, right?
Nice. Yeah.
People are going to want to tune in for Bedard. And then Seattle, Vegas at 10:30. So you have a whole night of hockey. And then on Wednesday, the first matchup of the day, Ottawa and Carolina, 7:00 start. It's going to be on Bally Sports for those of you in North Carolina, ESPN Plus for the rest of us. And
you
websites if you don't have one of those options.
And one thing, if you wanted a sure bet, it's one that not even Vegas would put on the line at all, because it'd be like they'd be giving money away. Tarasenko will be taunted and booed until Caniac's throats are sore. It's going to be unbelievable that he is going to just get ripped. But for the record, let's just say Ottawa is going to be a good team this year.
Yeah,
they're going to be solid. This is not an easy start.
Too. No.
Yeah.
No. And Caniacs, if you are in and around Raleigh or you can get to the game, go to the game because the State Fair comes to town for October. So this is the only home game before the Canes start their typically 2 to 3 week West Coast swing.
Yeah.
Because Saturday the 14th, it's Carolina at Los Angeles at 10:30. p.m. You know I love the late starts because I get to watch the whole game. So I'm excited. So you got one home game, Caniacs, and then the team is hitting the road for the state.
Yeah, the Western trip, which oddly enough, if I recall correctly, does not come up to Calgary this time around. They go up the West Coast, like they go out west, and I think they get into Anaheim and Seattle, I think, in there as well. But they don't actually hit Calgary this time around, which is interesting. Usually that one happens for sure.
Yeah, so it's LA, Anaheim, San Jose, Seattle, Colorado, and then Tampa Bay on the 24th of October, and then back home on the 26th. So yeah.
Yeah, they don't touch Western Canada till December, I think. Which crazily enough, I'm not going to be able to see because because I will be elsewhere. I will be in Bermuda.
Oh, you poor baby.
Hey, I'm missing the Canes makes me a poor guy.
They have internet in Bermuda, Ray. I've been there. They have internet.
Do they have internet?
They do.
So okay. Well, as long as they're not geo-cached or whatever out of the thing, I just want to be able to watch. That's all.
Hey, so we're taking our kiddos turning 10. We're taking them to Florida for a 10th birthday trip. And this was not planned. However, the Hurricanes are in Florida on the 10th and Tampa Bay on the 11th while we're
good
there.
For you.
So
good for you.
Brad might actually get to go to a game before the playoffs.
You going to get kicked out because you're wearing the Canes gear?
I think Tampa changed that policy actually based upon how much heat they took last time, because that's just the most ridiculous.
It's dumb.
If you sit in our club seats and you have to pull for Tampa Bay, like
no,
an opposing team's jersey. That is Charmin soft.
I would tell you what, if they actually made me do that, where I take the jersey off, I like to think of myself as a amicable fan. I've spent most of my times watching the Canes, where I am Custer in its last stand. I'm surrounded, but I can get along with everyone around me just because I'm wearing the jersey. Not a lot of fights, and now I am in Canada, which means maybe there's not as much knuckle chucking in the stands. That usually stays on the ice.
No, that's what we're known for, sir.
But yeah, but I mean, if they were to take my jersey from me, then I have no other way to prove that I'm a Hurricanes fan than to be ridiculously obnoxious and loud.
Yeah,
because I'm cheering for my team.
Yeah.
So
I'll be there.
I got the damn jersey.
Yeah, I got to pick what jersey to wear. I'm definitely wearing it though.
That a boy.
I'm not
represent.
I'm not saying that policy was soft, but that policy is as soft as Mark Stone in an interview after getting leveled by a kid named Hayden. That's soft. That interview,
what a
by
ridiculous.
The way. If you haven't seen it, look up Mark Stone and Hayden Hodgson, Hodgson, and look at the interview. The kid's trying, he's a kid. He's basically a baby. He's trying to make the camp. He lays a completely legit, well-timed on Mark Stone, and Mark, gets his feathers ruffled and is like, "Oh, I won't have to worry about seeing him again."
Yeah, like he's losing his crap. He loses his crap so on the ice, and then he decides to chirp him for good measure.
So there's a great still frame of him shaking the kid, right? And it's not the right kid. It's not Hayden Hodgson. It's some other kid. And he's and the kid looks terrified because Mark Stone is a foot taller than him. He's grabbing him and screaming at him. It's not even the right kid. It was so funny.
It's unbelievable. Stone, just because you won the cup last year doesn't mean you get a free pass on being an idiot.
Right. It's dude, that's a clean check.
I mean, come on, man.
That was so soft. That was funny. And it's not like I'm a hardcore, everybody should drop the gloves and whack each other with sticks kind of guy, but
No.
Like the kid's trying to make the pros. You would have done the same thing if you were 18.
Exactly. Yeah, he needs to go back in the time machine to remember what it was like to break into the league and how hard you had to work and what you had to do. Like, Mark, just shut the hell up.
I wonder if that's how Vegas hides him on IR for the rest of the year. They're like, oh, like Hayden Hodgson hit him in preseason.
Yeah.
We'll see. We won't see Mark back until April.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I know. I know that was a non sequitur, but it was just wicked funny.
It was. I enjoyed it. And for the record, wasn't there was an announcement that the salary cap is expected to go up to 87,
88, 89, something like that. Yeah.
Somewhere in there next year. How much? What are we at now? 82? 81?
I gotta look it up.
Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot there, but that's what everyone was looking forward to, and the players were certainly looking forward to.
83 and a half.
It's 83 and a half, and they're thinking 87 to 89. So, I mean, that's,
help the Canes.
It's going to help the Canes, certainly. But, I mean, players like Orlov, who only signed for a set amount of time, right? Tarasenko, that was what Tarasenko was looking for all along. Mm-hmm. He's like, he didn't want to, he was afraid to play under Rod. I don't understand why, but
because his defense would get,
would
get him in trouble. Like, that's why.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah.
And I wanted him. That's not like a huge knock.
I wanted him too.
An honest opinion.
But now we found out what he's like, so he can stay away. But he signs a 1-year deal so that he can cash in next year.
Right.
Which a lot of other players are going to be doing, which the Hurricanes have all sorts of issues as well, because we got re-signs that we're going to need, and we're going to need the space.
Right. So, 24-25 UFAs, you got Turbo, Martinook. I'm not worried about Lemieux, Nazen, Brady Shea, Brett Pesce. Not worried about Tony, Jalen Chatfield.
Yeah.
Caleb Jones.
And I want him so bad on this squad.
And you have Marty Natchez, is at least it's an RFA deal, so at least you're going to control that. Seth Jarvis and Jack Drury. So it's a good time for the cap to go up.
Yeah, no question.
Because they're going to make the right moves, but and every team's going to benefit, and some more than others. I think the teams that'll maybe help the most are going to be the Leafs and the Oilers. The teams who have so much invested in 2 or 3 guys that can't afford to surround them with better talent are going to have a little more money for talent. But the Leafs still might be in a hole. Like they're,
Yeah. Look at Tampa. Look at Tampa for that one. They made a lot of huge re-signings for big money that were all backloaded with the expectation that, the cap would go up. And if it didn't, they were in a world of hurt. I mean, everyone was saying, how is Tampa going to be able to do this if the cap doesn't go up?
And they're all long-term contracts.
Yes.
Braden Point, Anthony Cirelli, Nick Paul, Brendan Hagel, Sergachev, Cernak. Those guys are all extended to like 29, 30, I think. Or
they
beyond.
spent a ton.
I mean, that's $9.5 million, 6.25, 3, 6.5. 8.5, 5. That is a ton of capital in those guys. And so part of what they know that frustrates me as a fan is somebody's going to bail them out. They're going to be over the cap, and they're going to need to move a bad contract, and somebody's going to be willing to take it on because the GMs all have this unwritten rule, like, if I screw it up, somebody will trade me for it or do something about it. And crazy.
It might not be as easy though, because we got an example with that as it concerned Carlson, and Mr. GM Greer made a point of saying, we're not taking half of the contract. We're just not. You know what I mean?
They gave him away for nothing.
Next to nothing, right?
You give him away for nothing and don't eat contract, or you eat contract and you get something of value.
Yeah. So it's going to be some interesting time ahead. I love this. I'm
excited we get to talk about things that are meaningful now.
Yeah. It's tough to.
Isn't meaningful, but it's
It's tough to make your way through.
There was 2 or 3 weeks where things happened, and then it was just a whole lot of nothing. So
yeah, exactly. So here we go. Canes, Caniacs, Jerks, you fill that barn and you rock it as you always do. We love that. And if you're out there and you would like to join us in the Storm Cellar, give us a shout. Get in contact with us. Let us know, because as we said before, you are part of the focus. You are part of this team in our eyes. And how you got to be a Caniac, how you got to be a Jerk, how you got to be the fuel in the players' fire, how you fuel it. We want to know. We want to talk to you. Brad, how do they do it?
So the easiest thing to do is reach out to us at Twitter at StormCellar97, Facebook, facebook.com/StormCellar97. Email is stormcellar97@gmail.com, or on Blue Sky. I have one invite to give away, Ray. I assumed I would probably give it to you if you were interested. Cool. But on Blue Sky, StormCellar97. It's not hard to find us, right? If you Googled StormCellar97, we're the top couple of hits.
100%. Yeah, exactly. And if you want to hit me up too, you'll find me on X. I guess I've finally switched over to calling it X now.
I call it Twitter. I refuse.
I mean, I don't know, but you can find me at Judge Wapner 10. Don't be afraid to drop me a line. I love talking hockey, and let me know that you want to be a part of the program. You can get through me. I'll pass it along to the brains of the operation in Brad, who keeps everything right and tight in this program. And we'll make it work, and we'll have a great season. There's been so much talked about, Brad.
Yeah, right.
The cuts, the excitement about a power play goal, Turbo making me smile. So much to look forward to, but there's something missing. There is something missing.
Go Canes.
Yes, go Canes.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. Ray and I greatly appreciate your support in helping us produce an informative and fun podcast. As always, we'd like to say that we believe hockey is for everyone. Whether you're a Caniac or a bunch of jerks, doesn't matter, as we're just a couple of jerks anyway. We would love to hear your questions, comments, and suggestions. We will do our best to answer anything hockey related. You can reach us via email at stormcellar97@gmail.com. On Twitter, we are at stormcellar97, and on Facebook at facebook.com/stormcellar97.